Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining PCM for the Adobe webinar. Adobe Creative Cloud for your team is here. My name is Claude, and I'll be your host and moderator for today. I just wanted to cover a few quick housekeeping issues. First off, we will be recording this presentation, and we will be sending out an on-demand version to everyone. So if you have to drop off the call for any reason, you will be able to listen to the rest of the presentation. At the end of today's presentation, we will be conducting a live question and answer session. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please use the Q&A or chat pane that can be found on the right-hand side of your screen. You can send the questions straight to myself, and they'll be addressed during the Q&A session. And now I would like to introduce our presenter, Brian Wood. Brian Wood is an Adobe certified instructor in Acrobat X Pro, Illustrator CS5, Dreamweaver CS5, and the author of Adobe Illustrator CS6 Classroom in a Book and Adobe Muse Classroom in a Book, both published by Peach Pit Press, as well as numerous training DVDs including InDesign, Illustrator, and Acrobat X, Acrobat 9, Acrobat Forms, Dreamweaver, Adobe Muse, and more. In addition to training clients across the country, Brian speaks regularly at national conferences. Also, Brian has a video training site at askbrian.wood.com. Let me repeat that, askbrianwood.com. Now, without any further delay, I would like to turn today's presentation over to Brian. Brian, you have the floor.
Excellent. Thank you, Claude.
Yeah.
Hopefully everyone can hear me. We are going to go through today and talk about Creative Cloud for Teams and what that means to you. A couple of things that we are going to start with here. We're going to start with basically talking about what Adobe Creative Cloud is. We'll start there. And I know some of you probably have it, know it, that type of thing. Maybe a little bit of repeat information for you. But in the beginning, I think it's really helpful to understand what the Creative Cloud is, because Creative Cloud for Teams is essentially built on top of that. It's a way for us to be able to manage a series of users, let's say employees, through an admin interface, through a website that you can go to and add people or not. So currently I have the PC Mall site open here, which is the Adobe product page, which talks about the Creative Cloud for Teams. And if you haven't been contacted by a representative, you probably will shortly. You can also find out more information here if you want to. Just read a little bit about what it is. But we're going to go through and show you today. That's the whole purpose for this. So what I would like to do is just start out by showing you the Adobe Creative Cloud product page on Adobe's website. Now, if you have Creative Cloud, you, like I said, might be a little familiar with this. The Creative Cloud is a different way to access your software. And it's much more than that, I guess you can say. It's a way for us to be able to access our software, to be able to get all the different types of software we want to use, the CS6 tools, as well as other things that we can get to, and to be able to do things like share files, work with websites, use hosted fonts, different things like that. The Creative Cloud is a service, basically a monthly service. You can sign up contractually for a year. You can go month to month. It depends on how you want to work it. But Creative Cloud by itself is a single subscription, so it's for a single user. And that single user can actually download the software, use the software, and I'll show you all that, don't worry. You can download software and you can install it on two separate machines, Mac and Windows, Mac and Mac. It doesn't really matter. It's the same, I guess you could say, agreement as when we had Box product, or when you install Box product, if you will. If you want to find out things like how much it costs, pricing, how it works, et cetera, there's a lot of different options here to look at. On the right, I will see that there is the Join button and the Plan options. I'll click on Plan options. And I just want to show you this. I'm not, like I said, we're going to go through it and show you the whole process and how it works, but I just want to mention some of these things. We have the plans for individuals to start with. So you have a 30-day trial you can start with down here, lower left corner. And if you want to, you can download the applications. You get 30 days to try them out like you typically would. You actually get 2 gigabytes, 2 gigs of cloud storage. You can do things like share stuff or keep it up there. You have access to some of the services, et cetera. If you want to go further and you want to pay for this, you can get a single application with 20 gigs of storage, et cetera, for $19. You want to go complete or even upgrade, there's special pricing depending on if you already have, Creative Suite, that is. and then you get full access to everything available, which we will show you. The second version here, the other plans we have, are plans for teams and business. This is what we're going to focus on after we discuss what the Creative Cloud is in general, and I show you what it is. The team plans come in several different pricing models, and this is Adobe's pricing. You can go talk to your PCM representative and also check out the PCM Adobe page to find out their pricing. Now, we also have plans for education, et cetera. There's a lot of things we have here. What I want to do is start out by showing you the cloud. Let's just get to it. Let's show you what it is essentially. So I'm going to go over and get rid of the blog here. There's a blog. There's a fact page. I'll show you all this a little bit later on. When you sign up for the Creative Cloud, okay, you become a subscriber, either 30-day trial or you pay. You get to go to this website. It's creative.adobe.com. And what we can do is we can either click Get Started to find out more information like I just showed you, or we can go and sign in directly to the website. This is your portal. This is how you get to everything. So I go and sign with your Adobe ID, and I'm going to sign in. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign in, and this is an individual user. This is a single Creative Cloud subscriber. That's who I am. Okay, this is not related to team yet. We'll get there. Don't worry. I'm going to sign in. It's going to go through the process like any website. Then it gets to the good stuff. This is where you get in. You can see, I guess you can call this your admin area. You have access to file sharing. We have access to all the applications and services, and we have access to some training. Usually it's video-based training, that type of thing, online. Now, the file sharing service here we will talk about. This is sort of, and I always say this, and it's not exactly the same, but it's sort of like any of you use Dropbox or any other? There's 50,000 services out there to share files with people, right? It's sort of like that, okay? So we have 20 gigs of sharing space as a single subscriber, as a single user. And as a matter of fact, if I go to the upper right corner right up here and I click, you'll see I have 20 gigs of storage space. If you're a 30-day trial member, you get 2 gigs to start with in that 30 days, and you can kind of work with it that way. We'll talk all about the file sharing. I'll show you how it works. On the right over here, you will see that we have our apps and our services. Let me click on one of these tools, and it should take me over. And you'll see there's also a link in the upper left corner here to go to apps if I want to. This is where we access the software and the services. Now, a lot of people ask me, they're like, okay, Creative Cloud, what does that mean? Well, I'm sure a lot of you know, you're downloading software essentially. So what you're doing is you're coming in here, it's showing you all the software available via the Design Premium, the Web Premium, Production Premium. You also have access to Adobe Muse, which is typically, right here, you can see Adobe Muse is typically a subscription product, and I like to think of it as InDesign for websites. So you can create a website visually and either upload it using Adobe hosting or your own host if you want to. We also have access to a lot of other things, game developer tools, things like that. You can work with touch app plugins. You can see that right here. This allows you to take any of the touch applications, things from, let's say, an iPad. You can download an app, if you will, from Adobe. And you can do things like work in sort of a Photoshop type thing or, drawing, et cetera, and you can share those files with the applications on your hard drive. So you can share them back and forth. You'll see right here we also have Creative Cloud Connection. This is huge. This is something that was not initially offered. It was coming, but it's now available. And it's a preview, and it's going to be changing over time. But what Creative Cloud Connection allows you to do is it allows you to share files without having to go to this website. You don't have to go here. You can go sort of like a Dropbox, and I know I keep using that as an example, but we have on Windows down here in the tray, the system tray, we can open up a folder that's on our desktop or on our hard drive, and it puts it there for us. And we can just drag and drop, delete, organize things in that folder, and it will mirror up in the cloud, essentially, okay? We'll go through it, don't worry. Scroll down a little bit, you're always going to get, this is one thing I need to mention, you're always going to get the latest and greatest software up here. So if there are any updates, you'll see right here that it's always going to tell you there's a banner right up here saying, hey, there's an update to Photoshop, there's an update to Muse, et cetera. You will get updates as they come out. That's kind of interesting. It's a different way to look at it. Typically, if you buy a box product, and let's say you install Photoshop, okay? You install Photoshop, and you're not going to get updates, like full product updates, until the next version of the Creative Suite software, okay? you may get things like bug fixes, etc. But with the Creative Suite, or excuse me, with the Creative Cloud, we get somewhat quarterly updates, and I'm not going to say always, but we will get updates regularly that are for Creative Cloud members only. So you have Photoshop, we just got an update to that recently, about a month ago or so. And that gave us like 6, 8, 10 new features, and you'll see right here that you can click to learn more. And if I click on more up there, just to show you, it's going to take me to the Photoshop CS6 features page, and it'll show me all of the Creative Cloud membership exclusive features. You'll see right there. These are all the things that you will get if you are a Creative Cloud subscriber. So what's going to happen is you're going to open up Photoshop, and it can give you a warning, some kind of message saying, hey, there are updates for you as a Creative Cloud subscriber. Do you want to take them? You can defer them for a little bit. Maybe you're in the middle of a big project, okay, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of great things that you get with that, okay? So anyway, I actually happen to like it, and unless, like I said, I'm in a big project. I write a lot of books, and sometimes like Illustrator updated a little while ago, and I had to wait to update just because I was in the middle of the process. So with the Creative Cloud, you also get access to what are called Edge tools and services. These tools and services right here you'll see are, if you do web anything, okay, if you build websites, even if it's with Adobe Muse, if it's with Dreamweaver, if it's hand coding, things like that, you can use these. Edge Animate formerly was called Adobe Edge, right over here, and it's a way to create animations that are based on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript with no Flash included. There's no Flash involved at all. You also have access to Typekit fonts. You can use Typekit fonts if you use Muse, Adobe Muse, or if you use Dreamweaver. You have access to fonts that are hosted on the web. So it's more than just the Arial, Courier, Times, that type of thing. You get a lot of fonts you can work with. That's included in the subscription. We get the cloud sharing or file service, if you will. You get 5 hosted websites with Adobe. Adobe has what's called Adobe Business Catalyst. And as a paid subscriber, I'm talking single subscriber, you get 5 hosted websites included as long as you are a Creative Cloud subscriber. That's pretty cool. So I've got my own personal site up there, and I don't pay for hosting, essentially, because it's included. You also get the ability to work with GPS, single edition that is. You can create apps out of InDesign for the iPad, only the iPad. And you can create as many as you want as long as you're a subscriber, okay? So we are downloading the software. We're getting it on our machine. We're getting updates regularly if we want to accept them or not at that time. And then if you want to go train, there is some training options. There are training options available. You'll see here, Creative Cloud Training. If I click on the upper left corner, there's video content up here, and this is constantly growing. Last time I looked, it looked like there was like 3 videos, but there's a lot up here. So it's going to show you how to work with the cloud. They'll talk about specific features within each application, and you can kind of go through and figure out what you want to learn. So that's included, okay? Let me go back over to files. Let's talk about the file sharing. This is going to lead us into Creative Cloud Team and talking about Team and how all that works. As a single subscriber, okay, as the single one right here, you'll see right here that we can access files. We can upload files if we want to, and you're going to see that in the upper left corner right here, there's a little upload icon. Let me click on that, upload. We can go out to, let's say, our desktop or your hard drive on your machine, and we can access files and we can upload. So for instance, let me go over to a lesson folder here, and I'm going to grab a picture, and I'll click open. Now, it's going to go through and upload the file. It's similar to other cloud sharing services or cloud services. You're uploading it. You can see it right here. What we can then do with it, a lot of things here. You can view this list as a list of terms if you want to. We can further organize this content, so we can create a series of folders. You're going to see there's, right up here in the upper left corner, there's a folder icon. So if I click Add Folder, you can create a folder, and I can call it, project, whatever you want to call it. And I don't really need to show you this because you all know how to create a folder. But you can then take content you have, and you'll see, like, let's say this coffee cup picture right here. I click on that and say, hey, let's move it over. So I'll click on Move it over to the folder called Project, move it, and it'll put it in the folder essentially. So we're kind of just reorganizing things and putting them the way we want to. And we can view things a lot of different ways. Now, if we have, let's say we have a file here. I've got a file that I don't want anymore, like this SB new logo right here. If you click on one of your files or your folders, it'll open it up and it'll let you take a preview. It'll let you take a look at it. Now, this It's ridiculous. This is a really small logo, you guys. Super, super small logo. And it's taking a second here. Something's going on. Let me, you know what, let me go back here. The internet's a little, all right. All right. This is a Photoshop file. So we can also upload things like Photoshop. You can upload InDesign. You can upload, all sorts of things if you want to up here. And you can preview most of them. So we can preview Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign files you can actually preview and look in. PDF files you can preview and look in. When you have the file up here, and let's say I click on it, I'm looking at it. On the right over here, for every file that you have up in the cloud, you've got file information. So it's sort of like pared down metadata, if you will. Just, you can see it over here, uploaded, what size is it, et cetera, et cetera. It's also, this is really pretty cool, it's also going to grab the top colors that define, or most widely used colors in that image or object, and it's going to put it over here in colors. It's kind of interesting. So I'm looking at this logo, and I'm like, hey, I want to reuse those colors, sticks them over here. I can then download this as a swatch exchange file and pull it into Photoshop, pull it into Illustrator, and use it. Pretty cool. You can also visit Cooler. Cooler is a website where you can share colors, share swatches, share different things with other people. So that's another way you can do it. We can also, with images that we have, we can comment on them. Now, it's a simple commenting process. So upper right over here, you're going to see that if I click on the comment icon right there, a little button, we can see comments from other people, and that's after we share it with them. And I'll go through that process, don't worry. But we can add comments. Now, this is a simple commenting, like I already said. It's not you going out and drawing stuff or placing notes somewhere. It's a general comment about the file. So, for instance, I might say comment here, remove blue line. I don't even have to spell it correctly. There we go. I'll add the comment. Now people that I share this with will be able to see these comments. You'll see when it happened. You can also delete them by clicking on this little X here, and you don't have the comment. Now, I've made a comment. Suppose I want to take this image and I want to share it with somebody else. Okay, well, you're going to see right up here that there is a button. You can see right up here. There's a button called Share. You can share in a lot of different ways. If I click on Share, by default, this is what it looks like. All your content up in the Creative Cloud is going to be private, which means you're the only one who can view this stuff. If you want to, you can flip the switch there and say, let's make it public to anybody that has a link to this. You can say, let them comment, and or let them download the file. This is the way to share things with people, obviously. You can then enter an email address if you want to, and let me share this with so-and-so. Now, you can have it's not going to send this, or it's not going to go to your email and send this. It's actually going to send it through the service. So if you click on send email, it's going to send it off, okay? You can also, if you want to, let's suppose you don't want to send an email to someone, you can click on the link here and you can copy this link and then send it to a billion people if you want to, okay? It's your call. So like I said, if you want to share it with a team, it might be easier to copy the link into an email you already have. Now, this doesn't require people to have Adobe IDs to look at this thing. That's actually a pretty great feature, I think. All right, now once I share it with somebody else, they can, obviously, like I said, they can look at it. So if I go out and do that, let me go to my inbox here. I'm going to pretend that I am now this person, okay? So I just shared it with Brian Wood Evolve at Gmail. Now I'm going to change hats, and I'm this person that got shared with. So I'm going to go to the email, and this is the email I will receive. Hey, Brian Wood shared this with you. To view it, click on the link below. So simply, they just click on the link. They will have access to the file. They will have a pared down access to it, meaning they can't go and see all the rest of your files, just that one. And they can basically only do the things that you tell them they can do. All right. So let me go back over here. Oops. Easy. All right. Let me go back up. I told you before that if we look at things like PDFs and different things like that, we can see previews. If you have InDesign files, we can also do that. You can look at the fonts inside the InDesign files. We can preview them. If we want to get rid of a file, let's suppose we have this logo here and I don't want to have it anymore. You're going to see all over the place. There's a little sort of look, I don't know, it's like a trash can right here. This little archive and this little archive right up here. You can delete a file. Now, archiving means it's going to stick it in archive. It's not going to permanently delete it. So if I click on archive, it's going to remove it from your main list here, but it's going to keep it out there, and it's still going to be counted towards your full size here, how much space you have. If you want to delete it, you can go into the trash can here and look at your archive and you can go in and permanently delete these things. So you can say, hey, remove them from archive or restore them, or delete them permanently. So you've got a choice. All right, let me go back out. So we can share files with other people. We have our apps. We have our services available. If you look on the right over here, you will also see these are the websites that I've got included. So I've already taken 3 sites. I've got 3 sites of my own that I'm using that have free hosting, or included hosting, I should say. It's not free. I'm paying for all this. So you're going to see the included sites. We have temporary sites. You can create as many as you want. And there we go. Now, the last thing I want to show you as far as Creative Cloud, then we'll jump over to Team, is the connection, the Creative Cloud connection. Let me go to the Apps section again. I did neglect in the Files area to tell you that we can do things like search, and there are a few other features we have to work with. You can also drag and drop files directly into the browser if you want to, or we can use what's called Creative Cloud Connection, right down here. You need to download this. So once you're a subscriber or 30-day trial member, you can download it. Now, the great thing about downloading this software, I think anyway, is that if you click on download, it's going to open up this, you can see this external protocol thing. Just, you can say remember it, but you're going to launch an application here. This happens every time, Mac and Windows. What it's going to do is install Adobe Application Manager. This is how you now manage all your applications. So it'll show you who you are if you're logged in. It should be logged in already because you already are. Sometimes it will ask you to log in just to make sure that they know that you are you. And if I scroll around here a little bit, you'll see that we can go in and see what's going on. Now, if we're a trial member, it'll say trial. If we are a full-fledged paying member, it will say, okay, download. So we can then click to download, and it will automatically download and install it, and we're done. This is also a place where you can go to see if there are any new updates. This is one place. It will show you messages to tell you that there are updates as well. This is the great thing. You look at this. You're going to see that it does not say, hey, are you Mac or are you Windows? It's just going to download the installer and do it. All right, let me close this up. So that's, we're going to, like I said, downloading the software to our machine. If you have previous versions of pretty much anything, the Creative Suite, individual programs, et cetera, those won't be touched. It's as if you are installing from a disk, but you're downloading instead, okay? So it's not going to mess with your previous versions. Those are still there. You can still open them separately, probably not at the same time, but you can still do that, okay? All right, now let's get to the Creative Cloud connection. So the Creative Cloud connection, let's say I downloaded it, it installed, I'm ready to go. It automatically starts it up for me. Let me go out to my desktop. Let me kind of hide everything I've got here. And go out to my desktop. And if you look, if we're on Mac, up in the upper corner, you're going to see a little icon. On Windows down here in the tray, you're going to see this icon right down here. Now, I wish I could zoom in, but right down there, it's a little Creative Cloud, little infinity type symbol. If I click on that, that's installed as soon as I install the connection, if you will. And it's going to create a folder for me. And what I can do is I can see how much space I have, okay? Now, you're going to see 100 gigs there. Don't worry about that. That's because I'm a team member. It's confusing. I've got 3 people signed in right now, and it's getting a little confused, so don't worry about that. I'll talk about it. I'm going to go to Open Creative Cloud Files folder. On your hard drive, as soon as you install this, what it's going to do is it's going to create this folder for you. Now, to show you where it is, you're going to see right up here. Let me make this a little bit bigger. It's actually putting it in my user folder and calling it Creative Cloud Files. There's all my folders and all my files right there. So it's going to show me everything that I've got. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to the browser. Right now it's a little confused. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to log out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign in or log in as another person. And I will explain what I'm doing. Don't worry. The connection is actually using this login to show me what I'm doing. So this will make a little bit more sense. Let me go to Files. Now I'll show you this in a second. And it's extremely confused. Okay. So anyway, so here are all my files right here. What I can do is in the Creative Cloud Files folder, we can basically access everything we've got up in the cloud right here. You can literally copy them down or move them. Now it's going to move if you drag things. Notice this move. So we can copy them to our hard drive. If you have things that you want to put up there, we can take, let's say, an image or a group of content we have and just go up here and let's say copy it. So I can copy it into that folder. It's going to then sync with the Creative Cloud, and you'll see that the icon down here in the corner is going to say, oh, it's syncing. It's going to take so much longer. As soon as it's done, you'll see a little green check mark, and you're good to go. You can go in and create folders. We can organize things. I can, drag and drop. It's then going to sync with the cloud and be done. So this is a great way to be able to do a lot of this on your hard drive without having to go up to the cloud, without having to log in using that method to go to the website, essentially. So we can delete, we can move, we can reorganize. If we want to, we can always go up. If I right-click right here, you're going to see View on Creative Cloud Website. So I can go up and view it in the website. Give it 1 second here. And it's going to recognize the user here. So let me go back up. And now you can see all the different files that I've got available. Okay, so like I said, I was logged in as a couple users. So it's got the Brian folder, the Facebook icon. If you make changes up here in the cloud, so for instance, I go and say, hey, let's take this picture right here and let's move it into that Brian folder. I'll say, okay, move into the Brian folder. I'll move it. It'll move it over. Now let me go to my desktop and I'll show you what it did. Look, it's been updated. Click to view. So I'll go close this, and you'll see, there it is. Let me close this up. There are my Creative Cloud files. If I open up the folder, it's now inside. So it's basically just mirroring what's going on up in the cloud. If you are working locally and you want to work with this connection, in other words, you want to be able to add, remove, organize without it constantly updating or syncing with the cloud, you can always come down here to the lower right to this little icon and tell it to turn off sync temporarily. It just essentially means that, you're doing your thing, and as soon as you're ready to sync the files, you can say turn it on. Now, there are a lot of settings involved with this, the Creative Cloud connection, a lot of good settings. So if I go to settings down here, and if you're on Mac, it is in the preferences. You're going to see right up here, it's in your system preferences, rather. You'll see right here that you can say, okay, let's turn it on or off. Let's launch it at login or not. It's an application you can open or turn on, rather. Show notifications or not, check for updates, see your account information, or even set up proxy server settings, which is a little bit, that's why they call it advanced, okay? All right, few connections, few options right there. Let me close that up. So this, in a nutshell, is the Creative Cloud, all right? Now suppose that we have more than 2 people, or 2 or more people, I should say, in our office that we want to be able to share the Creative Cloud with, and we want to have a team type of environment, if you will. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to close things up here and log out, and what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to Team now and start talking about that. So I'm going to go to the browser again, and this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Adobe Creative Cloud, go to the website here, and it's going to come to the login page. Now, if you want to subscribe as a team, okay, you can do that. Like I said earlier, you can go to the PC Mall site, contact your person at PC Mall. You'll see right here, if I click on Getting Started or go to the Adobe website, there's a lot of places you can do this. It's going to show us the plans and what we have available. Now, as a team, if you decide to join as a team, you're going to have an admin user or multiple admin users that essentially are going to administer who gets access to this. You are then going to pay per user, per seat, if you will. It's basically per seat, because you can change users in and out. Each user is going to get 100 gigabytes of storage. Each user is going to get 5 websites that they can get hosted. They'll all get access to all of the applications that I showed you and everything that we have. Now, let's say that we join. I go in and click join. You can, like I said, you can do this through Adobe PC Mall. You can go through as well. They will give you your login information once you sign up. And as soon as I'm ready to sign in, I can then sign in. Let's suppose that I'm the administrator and I just signed up for a team and I just signed up 2 people. Okay, I went through that process. They're going to give me a login. This is just my Adobe ID. So it's your free Adobe ID that it's tied to. And if you don't have one, you can always easily create one. And I will sign in. Now, I'm the administrator, let's say. Okay, so I'm the one that started this process. I gave the credit card. Okay, I'm paying for all this, and I am the administrator. So as the administrator, I am not getting access to the software. Okay, so and I'm not paying for myself though. So the administrator is somebody who just literally administers the team itself. They set up who can join. They take the seats and they assign them to people. They work with the credit card information, the updated billing, team names. They can administer or make other people administrators, and they can try software, etc. Now, you can also be an administrator if you are a member, if you're a paying member. Okay, so it's kind of one of those things. Now, as soon as you log in as the administrator, and I just joined and I signed up 2 people, you're going to see down here it's going to say, oh, okay, well, here is your cost. Now, that may differ depending on how you sign up, PCM, et cetera. And you're going to see the number of seats that you have available. Okay? So it's the same interface. You're going to see we have files. If I go over to apps here, click on apps, you're going to see the same type of thing. Now, notice that as an administrator, I see try right here. Okay? So instead, if I go to files up here in the upper left corner, I know it seems confusing, but I'll go back to files. I have 2 gigabytes of storage space as an administrator. If I come up to the upper right over here where this little person icon is, let me click on that, you're going to see this is how I can access my team management or my account. Here's where I have my 2 gigs. If I go to team management here, click on that, it'll take me to the first screen we saw. This is where we started. This is after you log in as an administrator, this is where you come in. And I keep saying administer, as an administrator. Sorry. All right, now let's manage the team. Let's talk about that. So you pay for any number of seats. You have basically a minimum number of seats that you set. You can always add seats later on if you look right here, and it just adds it to the billing. And I believe it's it starts it from that point essentially. Okay. If you look right here, I've already got 1 person that I've added. I'm going to take this seat and I'm going to assign it to another one of my employees, for instance. So here's how I do that. I just come in and say, oh, okay, well, here's his email address. Okay. I'm now going to invite this user. So I'll click on Invite User. You can go through and just send, it's going to send an email invite to this person at this email address. So this can be an email address within your company. So you're kind of doling out who gets to do this. You know what? I'm going to say, this is Joe Doe, and please join. Okay, personal message. There we go. Okay. I will send the invite. It's going to invite that person, so it's going to send an email off to that person. And if you look right here, it's going to say the acceptance is pending. We're waiting for them to accept it. Now, you can always rescind this if you want to. There's an X on the right over here. If I click on that, you can say, revoke it rather, sorry. That'll just pull it back, and they will not be able to accept it. Let me click Cancel. All right, so let me go out here. And what's going to happen is it's not going to let me do this, is it? Oh, boy. Hold on 1 second. I got to log in. I'm going to go to Gmail. I kept this open for a reason. Yeah, my Gmail account got hacked, so I had to change things up a little bit. All right, so let me go in here. Now, let's say I'm the employee now. I'm looking at my email. I get this email, and it says, oh, join your team. Click on that. Here is the email that I get. Hi, John Doe. So-and-so has invited you. Please join, accept the invitation. So I click on Accept Invitation. It's going to go through and say, oh, okay, let's join. So you need to sign in with your Adobe ID, okay, and then accept, and then you have access. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to another browser, you guys. I know this is confusing, but I'm already logged in as the administrator in Chrome. So let me go over to another browser, and I'm going to go into this address here and accept it. Hopefully it'll let me do this. There we go. Okay, let me sign in. So I am the employee. I get that invite. I click on the URL. It lets me sign in. Okay. If you don't have an Adobe ID, it will create one. It'll get it going. Welcome to the Creative Cloud. Accept the invite. You're going to see a bunch of things here. Okay, so I accept. It's going to take a few minutes here, kind of go through its process and say, oh, you're a member now. Here's what you get. Here's the apps, the storage, etc. Now I'm going to go over to Files. It's the same setup. It's not going to look any different. As an employee, as a team member, it's going to look pretty much the same as I've already showed you with an individual user. Some of the differences here, if I come up to the upper right here and I click on this member, you're going to see I now have 100 gigs of storage. That's not shared with anybody. That's my storage. I get 100 gigs, so each employee gets 100 gigabytes of storage. We can still go up and use Creative Cloud Connection. We can add files. We can remove files, share files with people, etc. I have access to all the apps, the tools, and the services that I can download on my machine now. All right, let me go back over to the administrator. I want to show you that. I know it's a lot of bouncing around here. I apologize, but I'm going to refresh the page because it's going to take a second here. Let me refresh this. So I am the administrator. Let's say I go back in later on and look at my page, and of course it signed me out. Really? Sorry, everybody. This is the hard part about trying to fake having 3 people going at once. You can do it. Okay, I'm back at the administrator. I am the administrator now, managing my team, and you're going to see, oh, look, Brian Wood Evolve has just accepted. He's now a user. He's using X amount of space in his gigabytes. So there we go. Those are the actual members that we have. Now, let's suppose that you had a team. You signed up for team, and you signed up for 50 people. So, okay. You don't want to go through and give everybody's email address one at a time that way. That's why you're all going to see right here this invite multiple. So if I click on that, it's going to allow you to import a list of users, let's say email addresses. That's pretty typical of what it is, just email addresses, comma or tab delimited emails, CSV or text file, and just put them all in here, add a personal message, invite the users, and you're on your way. So that's a way for you to invite a bunch of people at one time. I'm going to click cancel. At any time, what we can do is if we decide we're like, hey, you know, Brian Wood versus this Brian Wood, Brian Wood's not pulling his weight. We need to let him go, okay? Or, you know, however it happens to happen. You have another user that moves into the team, one moves out, et cetera. You can always come over here. There's an X on the right. You can click on this, and we can say, let's remove the user. What it's going to do is it's going to basically send them an email saying, okay, you no longer have access. It's going to be much nicer than that. You no longer have access to the team member. You can't log into Creative Cloud. And right down there is an important note for you. Each user, each team member has its own storage. So each team member has 100 gigs of storage. If you tie it to an email address that's within the company, then this is going to be easy. This is not going to be a big deal at all. You can see right here that the content that they have is associated with their email address, with their account. So as an administrator, I'm not going to go in and see everything that they have right here, all their different files in their storage area. Okay, so all you'd have to then do is just log in as their email or using their email address, grab the files, do what you need to do with them. So you're going to see right there, though, that it is tied to that email address. Let me click cancel so I don't remove, but you know what, who cares? I'll remove. You'll see the process. It's going to go through and do this. It will then send an email address, or rather an email, and say, oh, okay, sorry, you no longer have access. You have up to, I believe it's up to 90 days or so to download your files, et cetera. That's what the company has to also remove those files. Then we can go through and we have another sheet open. We can invite another user, another email address, let's say, and send that off. So you're just kind of, you literally have a number of seats and you're just assigning them to your email addresses or to your users. Now with the Creative Cloud team, obviously we get the admin access, we get the ability to administer the users. Each user gets 100 gigs of space. Each one gets 5 hosted websites included, all the tools, all the services available. You also get, I believe, included, it's 2 help calls or 2 high-level service calls. That's what Adobe says that's included. I'm not 100% sure on that. I've never done it. But as an administrator, if you look right up here at the very top, you're going to see plan administrators. You can assign another user as an administrator or somebody else who's not even related to this. They can be an administrator. They get 2 gigs of storage. They don't download any of the apps and services because it's sort of like they have trial software essentially. But they can go in and they can manage the team, figure out who to invite, who not to invite, what seats to work with, et cetera. Only the initial administrator, the one that signed up for it, is going to be able to access things like credit card information and the account information, et cetera. But you can add other admins if you want to. You can also change the name of the team right here, pretty easy if we want to do that. And there we go. There's a lot of seats, or excuse me, I just looked at 2 seats. There's a lot of questions that I'm sure so far this is raising, and I know that. There is a large fact that Adobe has put together that I would actually suggest taking a look at, and I can take you there right now. Let me go out and take a look and see if I can find this. Let me go out to Adobe's website, and I'll go to the Creative Cloud. I think this is it right here. Yeah, this is a good page. Aside from the PC Mall page that I showed you, which has information on it, you can always go to this Adobe Creative Cloud FAQ. And the URL is up there. It's adobe.com/products/creativecloud/fact.html. It's a great resource because this is going to have everybody's asked the questions you're thinking. All right, a lot of people already have, and there is a specific section here for teams. So Creative Cloud for Teams. If we go to that. So it's going to go over and say, well, what's the difference, blah, 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 et cetera. What if I have Team Ready? What if I already have an individual account? What if I do this? What if I have that? So it's all information that is extremely important, things that you can look at, things that can help you decide, is it right for me, is it not? All those types of questions you're going to have. So let's see, I'm just trying to make sure that we have covered everything we need. File storage, sharing files, training content, we've already discovered that. The apps themselves, whoops, let me go over, kind of kicks over. And I believe that's team, you guys. That is team in a nutshell. You got the administrator, come on. You got the administrator, you got the team members, you got the seats you work with, you'll be able to send it out. You can always add seats more later on if you want to, do things like that. But we all have access to be able to share files with each other through each one of your file sharing areas. So for instance, if I go to files here and I am, okay, it's a little bit, there we go. So if I have a file I want to share with somebody, I can just go in and share it. So let me do that real quick. Let me just show you this other method we can use. You can also just drag and drop from your desktop directly to your area. Now this is the user, this is the employee, the person that's got this, so I can upload. Then we can go in and share. We could share our content with other team members, however we want to do it. There's all the different access points we have available. All right. I think that about covers the team. If you have any questions, which I'm sure we probably do, why don't you put them in the chat pod or the question pod? Seems like it would have been interesting. Too bad the audio. Ooh, that's not good. Hopefully everybody can hear me.
All
okay.
right.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Thank you, Brian. I guess we'll now be moving to our live question and answer portion of today's presentation. If you have any questions, please send them in using the question and answer pane, although that Adobe page over there, the FAQ, just about covers everything, right? But let's wait for a couple for more questions. All right. Here is one from George F. Is Creative Cloud available in China yet?
Wow, George. You know, I'm going to say I don't know. I don't know. I do not know the answer to that question. I would look at the fact page that I had mentioned earlier, and it may address that. Let me see if it actually, I don't know if I have that open anymore. Let me go back to it. No big deal. Go back to the fact page. Yeah, they definitely are rolling this out area by area. Let me see if there's any information about where it's available. Stored. You know, I don't know the answer to that question. I apologize. You may need to contact somebody at PC Mall or somebody at Adobe, and I hate to push you off that way.
All right. Let's move on to the next question we got from Kathy. Is there a maximum number of seats we can add?
Currently, I don't believe that there is. The only thing is there is the Creative Cloud for Team, but then there is also an enterprise edition of this, or an enterprise version of this, that if you have a lot, I'm talking 10,000 seats, that type of thing, then that's something you may want to consider, the enterprise edition of this. And I didn't mention it because we were talking about team today, but yeah, there is a way to get this for a lot of people. So.
Okay. Next question from Tom. Can you check out files like you do with InDesign/InCopy to let two workers work on a file?
Tom, no, it's currently the way it's set up in this process. It's not set up to do that. I know exactly what you're talking about, and that I'm sure that, to be honest, I'm sure that Adobe, those are questions that people are getting, or Adobe's getting rather, and information that they will take to heart, if you will. But currently, no, we are not going to be able to check in, check out files like that.
Okay. Next question would be from Mike. Does the CC replace boxed versions, meaning once we establish an account, does this negate the CS versions already installed in our machines?
Mike, that's a great question. No, if you have previous versions of Creative Cloud, it doesn't touch them essentially. Those are still there. I actually have CS5, CS6 on my machine currently, on my working machine. And what the CS6 is the cloud version, so it's just the software downloaded, but it will not, it should not touch your previous versions.
Oh, all right. This one's from Luke. Signed into my Adobe account, and it doesn't appear that I have access to After Effects. I thought that Creative Cloud gave access to all of the CS6 programs.
Luke, yeah, it should. If you look at my account here, it should give you access. If it should appear in there. Now, this is the hard part because is it saying download, or is it saying try, or is it not showing up at all? That's the question I would ask. It is going to show you all of Design Premium, Web Premium, Production Premium. All the tools should be there. I've never heard of any reason why they wouldn't be there in any case. So,
yeah, I guess we're going to have to wait for his response for your question. Now, let's move on to the next question. If an individual user uses multiple computers, could they download the software in multiple computers or only one? That's from Frank.
Frank, yes, it's the same as box product, where you can, as long as you obviously have internet connection on that machine or on that hard drive you have, you can download to 2 different machines, or install, I should say, on 2 different machines or 2 different operating systems if you want. So you can have one at work and, let's say, one on your laptop at home, that type of thing. I have a Mac machine where I'm running a split is PC, and on Mac I have it installed, and the PC side I also have it installed from the same account. So you have 2 machines you can work off.
All right. This one's from Chris. Can folders be shared in Team Cloud? That would include all the files within the folder?
Yeah, you probably saw me just skirt around that. No, currently not. We are not able to share folders, period, even in the individual user accounts. This is, I'm going to tell you that this is a new, it's new. I'll just say that. And they know about all these things, and they know that they are going to consider all those features, and I can almost guarantee those things are going to be in future versions, or I'm not talking far future either. So, but no, currently we cannot.
Okay. So next question from Nancy. Can you actually show us what the apps look like when you download and open? If you click or open an InDesign file on the cloud, will the correct app InDesign open?
Yeah, it's going to work the same as if you install yourself. So unfortunately, you guys, this is a new machine. Literally, I just got it this morning. It's kind of dicey to be doing a webinar on this thing, but I installed one application just to show you. So this is Adobe Muse. I know it's not InDesign, and I apologize, but Adobe Muse is a subscription service, and it's going to allow me to go in and sign. If you have, let's say, Adobe InDesign, all it's got to really do is it's got to check 30 days, so it makes sure that you are signed in 30 days and you're still paying for 30 days. And then you just open the software, and it opens just like normal. So if you double-click on an InDesign file on your desktop, it will open the CS6 software. It's the same thing as if you had just installed box product. It's exactly the same.
Okay. All right. Next question would be from Steve about online storage. Are files opened and saved to it? Are they downloaded first and then opened, saved, and then uploaded? Is there a checkout system?
There is no checkout system currently. And what's going to be happening is all the files that you see are going to be up on the, they're in two locations essentially. You have them on your hard drive and you have them up in the cloud. It's the same as all the file sharing services. So if I go to my cloud folder, for instance, and I go open Creative File folder, this is on my hard drive, and I double-click to open the InDesign file, which I apologize, I do not have installed currently. It will launch InDesign. It will let me work on it, and it's local. And as soon as it's saved and done, it will allow me then to do the sync, or it will automatically do the sync. Hopefully that answers it.
Okay. I think we've addressed this one, but there is a following question, following information. I have 40 users. If they are all running Creative Cloud, what are the bandwidth requirements or a good average benchmark to plan for this service?
You know, that is something that either PCM may have information about this or Adobe does. I haven't seen any benchmark information. Really, the hardest part or the longest part that's going to take is downloading the software, which honestly, I have a T1 at home. I've got a really fast connection, and I downloaded InDesign in probably about 7-8 minutes. It was really pretty quick. And then the file sharing, as far as file sharing is concerned, a lot of designers, a lot of people that use this type of stuff already have, like I said, Dropbox or other services like that. So it is a matter of if your internet connection can handle it. And I hate saying that. I hate saying that. I wish I knew of a source, let me just say that, but I don't, benchmark-wise.
Okay. This one's from Steve. How long are the old versions of cloud software available?
Well, so what's going to happen is if you're going to install all the versions of software up in the cloud are going to be the latest and greatest, essentially. So at any point, if you download them, it will be, let's say, you know, CS6 second quarter update. Let's say we're in second quarter of some year, okay? If you've installed, let's say, at that point, and then 6 months later, a year later, there are more updates, you can defer the updates for a while, but you don't want to defer forever. Let's just say that. That's one of the ideas behind the service is that you're getting the latest and greatest software. So.
Okay. And next question would be from Michael. What happens to the applications installed on the computer at the end of a subscription or the removal of a team member? And another related one that you can probably answer. If a user installs in a personal machine and they leave the company, is there a way to kill their personal use?
Yep. Okay. So those are really good questions. This is stuff that I myself had questions on too. So let's suppose that you're a team member and you install InDesign from your admin area, whatever, and then you leave the company, something happens, whatever. Essentially what's going to happen is as soon as your email address, associated email address, which is tied to your Adobe ID, which is tied to the software, which is tied to your login to the Creative Cloud, as soon as you say, let's not have that user access the team anymore, they will not be able to open the software. That's the way it works. So it's the same thing as if you, as an individual user, had downloaded InDesign and you're a Creative Cloud subscriber, and then you stop paying and your 30 days is up. As soon as you go to launch the software, it's going to tell you the software is still going to be on your machine, but it's going to say, hey, you stop paying. We're not going to let you use it, if you stop paying, so that kind of thing.
All right.
And then the other one, sorry, the other one was, sorry, I forgot.
Is there a way to kill, what happens to the
application?
Yeah.
So the application will still be installed on that user's machine, it just will not work. That's the thing. They will not work unless they buy their own, subscription, and they also cannot access the files either because you've basically disabled that from their email account. And that's why you're probably going to use an email associated with your company, hopefully. But you don't have to. Let me just say that. You don't have to.
Okay. And Tracy, do you still need to purchase each of the products separately?
No. The idea behind the cloud is that if let's suppose that you're in a team and you pay for 2 seats, for instance, a small team, obviously, and you're paying so much a month. Let's say it's 120, 100, whatever, okay? for that 30 days, you have access to, like I said, Web Premium, Design Premium, and Production Premium, and you're going to see all the software available right here. So you don't purchase each separately. You have access to all of those tools, all of that software as a subscriber. So you can download each and every one of these if you want to your machine, and if you decide to only pay for 30 days, you can use each and every one of those for 30 days. Hope that makes sense.
Okay. So here's Angela. Everyone on the team must have an Adobe ID login to use the cloud, correct?
Yeah, ultimately that's what it comes down to. So every like let's say team member, it will be an Adobe ID. So it'll essentially create an Adobe ID and tie it to that. Yep.
Okay. If I get version 6 now, next year version 7 comes out and I install that, will that wipe out version 6?
You know, Steve, I'm going to go out on a limb here. This is the cloud service is so new that I'm going to say no, it's not going to wipe it out. Now, I don't know that for sure, just because this is brand new for version 6. But my gut tells me that there's no way that they could do that. I don't know. And the thing is, here's the thing too, okay? If you go up to the Creative Cloud and you log in and you look at all the software right here, you're only going to install this one time. And then as a Creative Cloud member, you're going to be getting quarterly or semi-yearly updates, whatever it happens to be, for that software. So theoretically, the way I think about it, you're always going to be up to date as a Creative Cloud subscriber. Hopefully that makes sense. So you're always up to date, essentially, as long as you keep saying, okay, let's update. Let's take this quarterly update instead of deferring it.
All right. From Tom, how hard is it to remove a software? Is there an uninstaller?
Yeah, it's dead simple. The Adobe Application Manager, which I'm launching right here, is just a great way to be able to handle all of this content. Now, it's trying to connect right now. You're going to see that I have things like up-to-date, etc. It's going to allow you to uninstall or install rather from here. There also is the typical uninstallers, which we have available, I believe, within the application folders. And I'm not going to say that for sure, but I'm pretty positive there is. I'm going to take you through my whole file, my whole system here, which is awesome. Bear with me for 1 second. No, what am I talking about? I'm on Windows. I'm a Mac guy, you guys. I apologize. So on Windows, we can just go to Program Files and Preferences and uninstall it that way. So yeah, you can totally uninstall it pretty easily.
Okay. From Tracy, so if I pay for the full subscription, I can use all of the products at no additional charge, correct?
Yes. So as a Creative Cloud subscriber, you get access to all of the software. You get access to the file sharing. You get 5 hosted websites included. You get the 20 gigs, I already said that. You get Muse. You get Edge services. You get Typekit fonts. You get the ability to create as many iPad apps as you want out of Adobe InDesign. And there's a few other little things that I'm not mentioning. But yes, with that cost, with that monthly or yearly cost, whatever it happens to be, you have access to all of it.
Okay, we have an explanation here from Steve, the one who asked about whether the version 6 will be wiped out as long if the version 7 comes out. He says, the reason for the last question, people don't seem to understand that we sometimes need to use old versions with old files to avoid type reflow, etc.
Yeah, Steve. So everything before CS6 you can still have on your machine. It will not wipe any of that out. Like I said, the idea going forward is that you're always going to be up to date. And from what I've heard, and this is, once again, this is me sort of making an educated guess, and I apologize for that, but what I've heard is that the actual, like let's say for instance Photoshop, you have a Photoshop file. It is future-proof, if you will. It has that dialog that comes up that says, hey, if you open this thing up in a later version, it will still always open, that type of thing. That is my understanding of it, that the file format is not changing. And if there was any change, that there would be a way to figure it out to work it. That's my understanding of it. So.
Okay. Now it seems we already have an answer from Luke, the one who asked about the After Effects.
Oh, yeah.
He confirmed that it's not showing up at all.
Not showing up at all. So Luke, are you, and we should probably take this type of thing offline. Are you a paid subscriber or a 30-day trial member? I've never heard of it not showing all of the tools up there. I'm trying to think of why it would not show up. I mean, those are obviously production premium, but the only thing I could do to think of, like I'm kind of at a loss with that, but is to contact Adobe support to see what's going on. If you are even if you're a 30-day trial member, you can contact Adobe support to find out why. I've never heard of it, and I apologize that I don't know.
Okay. And that's about all the questions that we have from our attendees. Any other additional information that you want to tell them, Brian?
No, I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for coming. And I know that there's a lot of questions because this is a big service. It's a big change for the way that we look at software. And like I said, currently this is an option, if you will. This is something that you can do if you want to, or you can stick with the other model that we've had in the past. So it's just something to think about. And hopefully, if you go to the fact page, if you go to PCM all page, it can help answer some more questions for you. And you can.
Right.
I just saw one from Tim. Sorry, I just saw one from Tim. This is a question I get a lot. Can you use software offline, such as traveling wait time? You do not always need to be connected to the internet to have software, the ability to open InDesign or open Photoshop that you downloaded from the cloud. It's going to only have to check once every 30 days, okay? So if you're connected once within 30 days, it's going to make sure that you still pay, because it's basically, so I'm on a plane all the time, and I will literally open Photoshop on the plane and do my thing, and I don't have an internet connection. It doesn't matter. Like I said, 30-day check, it's got to check to make sure.
Okay. And that's about all the time that we have. Should you have additional questions, you can send them in offline, and they'll be addressed and answered through the on-demand version of this webinar. Now, I would like to thank Brian and thank you all for taking the time to join us today for this very thorough and wonderful presentation. Thank you, Brian. Again, have a great rest of your day. Thank you all.
Thank you.